John Haynes, and today we're talking about agreed divorce in the state of Tennessee. But I can't actually do that until I talk to you about contested divorces, and that'll make sense in a moment. So in a contested divorce, you begin by filing a complaint for divorce, which says, "Hello, court where I'm filing this document, I would like a divorce. This is the person I would like a divorce from." Now, the person you're divorcing, your husband or wife, isn't just going to magically know you filed the papers. You have to serve them with a copy of those papers. Either a sheriff's deputy will do it, or you'll hire a private process server to hand them a copy, so they have notice of this legal proceeding. Once that's accomplished, the individual who's been served with the papers will have 30 days to answer those papers. And generally what they'll say is they'll file an answer and counter complaint. And the content of that will be, "I understand you're divorcing me, but just wait, I'm also divorcing you." And then litigation will commence. There will be discovery. There will maybe be depositions. There'll be a mediation. All that's important, and you have to understand it to talk about agreed divorce, because there's not actually such a thing as an agreed divorce defined anywhere. If you go to the courthouse, you're just going to be talking about filing for divorce. You don't choose, this one's going to be agreed, this one's going to be contested. What most people, myself included, will define an agreed divorce as then is one where the parties, before anyone files a complaint for divorce, have already reached an agreement on how to divide the assets and debts of the marriage, and if there are children, a permanent parenting plan that's in those children's best interest. So, if that is your situation, or you hope it could be your situation, here's generally how that works. One of the spouses, husband, wife, will call an attorney and say, "Listen, my spouse and I have a house, we have 2 cars, we have a joint bank account. We've talked about it, we are going to get divorced, here's what we want to do. We want to sell the house, we want to split the proceeds. We want one person to keep 1 car, one person to keep the other, and we want the joint bank account to be equally divided between the 2 of us and closed. So how do we make that happen?" And the lawyer will generally respond by saying, "Well, what we need to do is put that in a marital dissolution agreement." That is a written document, that is really a contract that describes all those things I just said. Here's how we're going to sell the house. Here's how we're going to divide the cars. Here's how we're going to split the proceeds of the joint account. Now, at this point, you may be thinking, well, why do I need a lawyer or lawyers involved to do that? And the answer to that question is generally enforceability and good advice. When I say enforceability, I mean it is certainly not hard for individuals to write the basics of what I just described. We agree to sell the house. There are questions, though, that might arise in interacting with your lawyer that you didn't think of. Should there be a deadline on selling the house? What happens if the house doesn't sell? Instead of selling, does somebody want to refinance and buy them out? How long does that process going to take? Do we want to put a deadline on that? With respect to the cars, are they jointly titled? Is there financing associated with the cars? Is someone going to be individually responsible for the financing? If the person whose name is on the financing is not the one being awarded the vehicle, what should we do there? What should we do with the car insurance? My spouse is covered under my health insurance. Does that matter? Can I continue to carry them after the divorce? And so on and so forth. So, generally, again, a lawyer will get this basic understanding of what they want to have happen, and they will meet with one of the parties. Now, something I run into a lot is people say, well, we agree, so can both my husband and I, or my wife and I, come in and talk to you at the same time? And that can be ethically difficult. It certainly happens all the time, and it's not disallowed, but it's very important for whichever lawyer is going to be doing this agreed divorce to explain to the parties that that lawyer is only representing one of the parties, either the husband or the wife. And if you think about it for a second, there's a very easy to understand explanation as to why that's the case. Arguably, the best case scenario for the husband is to keep as much stuff as possible. Vice versa for the wife, to keep as much stuff as possible. And an attorney can't really advise 2 people on positions that are diametrically opposed. It's just not ethically permitted. And when I say can't, I don't mean it's something that, it's difficult to do. I mean, literally the rules of professional conduct forbid that. So, while again, this happens all the time and there's nothing wrong with it, it needs to be very clear to the parties that only husband or only wife is represented by the attorney drafting the documents. In that scenario, the other party, the one who's not represented by that lawyer, may feel comfortable because the documents are very simple and easy to understand with just representing his or herself and signing the marital dissolution agreement. What that person may want to do is get the documents drafted, take them over to another lawyer to review to make sure they're fair. There's nothing wrong with that either. Once these documents are generated, and by these documents, again, I'm referring to a marital dissolution agreement, and if there are children, a permanent parenting plan, they will be signed, notarized as appropriate. There will also be a final judgment for divorce generated, which is a short document. That's what the judge actually signs. And in an agreed divorce, all of these documents are generally filed together at the same time at the courthouse. Now again, going back to where we began, do you have to do exactly what I described to be an agreed divorce? No, because an agreed divorce isn't technically a thing. What the process I've just described is how I and most lawyers I know would conceptualize of an agreed divorce. Hopefully this overview has been some benefit to you. If you have questions about an agreed divorce, a contested divorce, or divorce at all, family law, child custody, etc., these are areas in which I practice regularly. I can be reached via phone at 865-269-2524, or you can schedule time for me to call you on my website, www.haynes.law.